As of February 2025, Ghana has made significant strides in restructuring its national debt to stabilize its economy. In January 2025, the government formalized its debt restructuring by signing a memorandum of understanding with official creditors, solidifying agreements reached in the previous year. This milestone is pivotal for Ghana's financial recovery, especially after defaulting on most of its external borrowing in December 2022. Following the domestic debt exchange program concluded in February 2023, which saw over 80% participation, the government is preparing to cautiously re-enter the local bond market. According to the third review of Ghana's International Monetary Fund (IMF) program in December 2024, plans are underway to resume bond issuances in the second quarter of 2025, April-June. This strategy includes issuing a 2-year bond and releasing a revised medium-term debt management strategy alongside an annual borrowing plan. These measures aim to reassure investors of a prudent and transparent debt approach, which is critical for rebuilding market confidence after the previous restructuring. However, experts advise caution regarding an early return to the bond market. The World Bank's country director for Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, Robert Taliako, has cautioned against an early return to international capital markets due to Ghana's current debt status. In summary, Ghana is actively working towards economic recovery through formalized debt restructuring and plans to re-engage with the domestic bond market. While these steps are promising, careful consideration and strategic planning are essential to ensure sustainable financial stability. Stay tuned for a detailed explanation of debt restructuring through an African folktale. Long ago, in a peaceful village surrounded by vast farmlands and rolling hills, there lived a hardworking farmer named Kofi. He was well known for his dedication to the land, and every season, his farm produced some of the best crops in the region. The village relied on people like Kofi to provide food and trade with neighboring settlements. One year, something unexpected happened. The rains that usually blessed the fields never came. The sun burned hotter than ever, and Kofi's crops withered under the scorching heat. With little harvest, he struggled to provide for his family. Worse still, he had borrowed seeds and tools from the village chief, Nana Kwame, with the promise of repaying after the harvest. As the weeks passed, Kofi worried about his debt. Nana Kwame was a respected elder who had helped many villagers in difficult times, but he was also known for being strict when it came to repayment. Kofi had never been in such a situation before, and he didn't know how to approach the matter. Determined to turn his situation around, Kofi decided to plant again when the next rainy season arrived. He borrowed some more tools and seeds from his friend, Amma, promising to share a portion of his harvest in return. But just as hope was beginning to return, a great storm swept through the village. The heavy rains that had been missing the previous year came all at once, flooding the fields and washing away everything in their path. Kofi lost his second chance. His farm was ruined again, and now he owed not just Nana Kwame but also Amma. He sat outside his small hut, staring at the sky, wondering how he had gone from being a respected farmer to someone drowning in debt. His wife, Adua, saw the sadness in his eyes. "Kofi," she said gently, "you have always been honest and hardworking. Instead of hiding in shame, go and speak to Nana Kwame. He has seen many seasons and may have wisdom to share." Kofi hesitated, but he knew his wife was right. The next morning, he walked to Nana Kwame's compound, feeling the weight of his debt on his shoulders. He found the elder sitting under the big baobab tree, surrounded by other villagers seeking advice. When it was Kofi's turn to speak, he lowered his head in respect. "Nana, I have come to you with a troubled heart. Twice, I have planted, and twice, nature has taken my crops away. I promised to repay what I borrowed, but I have nothing to give. What should I do?" The elder stroked his grey beard and nodded. "Kofi, you are not the first to face hardship, and you will not be the last. A man's honesty is worth more than gold, and because you have come to me with an open heart, I will not cast you away." Kofi looked up, his heart beating fast. "Then what should I do, Nana?" Nana Kwame smiled. "Instead of demanding that you repay everything at once, let us restructure your debt. Here is what we will do. Instead of paying me back this year, you will start next year after your farm has recovered. Instead of repaying in one lump sum, you will give me a small portion of each harvest over the next 5 years. In return, I will provide you with new seeds and better tools so you can farm more efficiently. Kofi's eyes widened in surprise. Nana, you would do this for me? Nana Kwame nodded. A wise lender knows that if he forces a farmer to pay when the land is dry, he will get nothing. But if he gives the farmer time, both will benefit in the end. The villagers who had gathered around murmured in agreement. One of them, a trader named Kojo, stepped forward and said, Nana's words are true. I once saw a man in the next village force a debtor to sell his land just to repay a loan. Now, that land lies empty, and the lender gets nothing from it. Kofi turned to his friend Omar, the second person he owed. Omar, would you also accept this kind of agreement? Omar smiled. Yes, Kofi. You are an honest man, and I trust that when your farm flourishes, we will all benefit. With that, the new agreement was sealed. Kofi left Nana Kwame's compound feeling lighter than he had in months. He now had a second chance, not through a miracle, but through wisdom and trust. With the debt restructuring in place, Kofi worked harder than ever. He took extra care in planting and learned new farming techniques from elders in the village. Seeing his determination, the community also rallied around him. Kojo, the trader, offered to help him find better markets for his produce. Adwoa, his wife, started drying some of the crops for storage, ensuring they could sell even when the market prices were high. Slowly, Kofi's farm recovered. By the second year, he had enough food for his family and even a little extra to sell. By the third year, his harvest was large enough that he could begin repaying both Nana Kwame and Omar. True to his word, he gave a small portion of his produce each season. 5 years later, Kofi had completely repaid his debt. But more than that, he had gained something greater, knowledge of how to manage hardship, the trust of his community, and the wisdom of patience. Just like Kofi, Ghana has found itself in financial trouble. The country borrowed money with the expectation that it would be able to repay after economic growth. But due to challenges, such as inflation, rising interest rates, and economic shocks, Ghana struggled to pay back its debts on time. If lenders had demanded full repayment immediately, it would have caused more suffering, just as forcing Kofi to repay everything at once would have ruined him completely. Instead, Ghana has engaged in debt restructuring, just as Nana Kwame did with Kofi. This means the repayment schedule has been adjusted so that Ghana can pay over a longer period. The country has been given better terms to ensure that repaying does not stop economic growth. Some creditors have agreed to reduce the interest rates or extend the repayment period, allowing Ghana to recover. Like Kofi, Ghana is now working to rebuild its economy. The country is gradually returning to the bond market, much like how Kofi slowly returned to full farming. The story of Kofi teaches us that debt is not bad by itself, but it must be managed wisely. Ghana, like Kofi, borrowed with good intentions but faced unexpected problems. Honesty and negotiation are key because if Kofi had run away or refused to talk to Nana Kwame, things would have been worse. Similarly, Ghana had to negotiate with its creditors to find a solution. Restructuring debt is about recovery, not escape. Kofi did not avoid his debt, he paid it back in a way that made sense for both him and the lender, just as Ghana is doing now. A community can support recovery, and just as Kofi's village helped him, a country needs economic policies, investor confidence, and support from institutions like the IMF to rebuild. Debt restructuring is not about avoiding responsibilities, it is about making repayment possible while ensuring survival. Just as Kofi emerged stronger, Ghana has a chance to rebuild and create a better future.